Exposed, 10 spine-chilling cases of sinister disappearances that remain terrifyingly unexplained. As the clock ticks midnight, the dim light flickering in Karen's living room casts longer shadows on the walls. Outside, the air hangs thick with dread, like a fog writhing with unspeakable secrets. Just last week, that same eerie stillness wrapped around the town as headlines screamed of another missing person. 5 in as many weeks. 5 families shattered. Karen's heart raced as she recalled the details. They vanished without a trace, leaving behind only echoes of their laughter. The news played it all up, picturing smiling faces over chilling statistics, feeding her nightmares. Were they merely victims snatched from their lawn chairs, or did the darkness whisper requests of surrender? She looked over at Lily, her bright-eyed daughter, sleeping soundly in the nearby room, blissfully unaware of the horror seeping through the cracks of their sun-baked neighborhood. People often commented on the community's charm, but lately, charm felt like a veneer, thinly concealing darker realities. Somehow, Karen felt it was just a matter of time before the shadows encroached upon their sanctuary. Every night after her late shift at the grocery store, Karen scoured the streets on her way home, a hunting instinct sharpening her senses. Each rustle of leaves made her jump. Was it her imagination, or was something lurking just beyond her vision? The neighbors were tight-lipped, wrapped in their own little worlds until the whispers surfaced. A familiar face, the neighborhood watchman, strolled through the block with an unnatural confidence. His charming smile had a way of chilling her blood. Why did she always feel his gaze trailing her? Something twisted deep in her gut suggested he knew more than he let on. As dusk fell one night, Karen couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The usual sounds of her quiet neighborhood, a dog barking, laughter from a porch, were replaced by an unsettling silence. Flickers danced behind her curtains, and phone calls dropped without warning, just a dead end hanging in the air, as if someone cut the line intentionally. She felt it more keenly than ever. The air thickened, constricting around her. The night took a sinister turn as she checked on Lily, her sweet girl who daydreamed of princesses and dragons. A faint voice echoed in the stillness, pulling at her heart with icy fingers. Had someone dared to invade this sacred space? Panic surged through her veins as she stormed back to the station, desperate for someone to listen. Their dismissive attitudes, casual laughs, cut deeper than the absence of concern in their eyes. Just a case of paranoia, one officer shrugged. Each word wrapped tighter around her throat, choking her hopes. Who could she trust? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her world narrowed as her dreams spiraled into nightmares. Those ordinary floors creaked with each cautious step, a haunting reminder of the vulnerability that seeped into every corner. Driven by dread, she investigated and stumbled upon chilling tales woven into the town's foundation. Old legends told of the watchman's past, shrouded in mystery, hinting he was a predator in disguise. As tension mounted, Karen's obsession with uncovering the truth spiraled alongside her growing paranoia. Every flicker of movement outside her window was a ghostly reminder of the lurking danger. But nothing prepared her for what lay ahead. Just when she thought the fear couldn't clutch harder, a bone-chilling scream erupted from Lily's room, freezing the very blood in Karen's veins. In that harrowing moment, she realized the darkness wasn't just a shadow, it was something tangible, something serious, closing its suffocating grip around her family. Karen's heart thundered in her chest as she dashed down the hallway, the sound of Lily's scream still echoing in her ears. The door to her daughter's room loomed ahead, a barrier between safety and the unknown. With trembling hands, she pushed it open. Lily was sitting up in bed, her face pale and streaked with tears. The girl's wide eyes were filled with unyielding fear, a stark contrast to the innocence of her age. "Mommy," she gasped, clutching her stuffed unicorn as if it were a shield against the darkness. "What happened, sweetheart?" Karen knelt beside her, examining every corner of the room, half expecting to see something lurking in the shadows. "I heard a voice," Lily whimpered, pointing toward the closet. "It told me to come outside. It sounded so mean." A chill crawled up Karen's spine. She glanced toward the closet door. It stood slightly ajar, an inky void staring back at her. "Let us turn on the light." Her voice was steadier than her heart felt. She reached over to flick the switch, illuminating the room with a harsh glow. Nothing moved. Nothing was there. Just the shadows loomed heavier, more threatening in the brightness, creeping along the walls. "It's just your imagination, honey," she said, though uncertainty coiled around her words. "I swear, Mommy." "It wanted me to go." Lily's voice cracked, fear lacing her words. Karen's instincts flared. There was something off about this night, something wrong. Just then, a loud thump came from outside, jolting both mother and daughter. The sound was unmistakable, heavy and deliberate, resonating through the walls. "What was that?" Lily whispered, drawing closer to her mom, her breath quickening. "I don't know." Karen's voice was barely above a whisper. She released a shaky breath, glancing out the window. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows, and the usually vibrant neighborhood felt suffocated by a looming force. "Stay here," she instructed, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. She couldn't let fear paralyze her. Someone had to protect her child. With inching steps, she crept toward the window, her pulse racing. In the distance, a figure slinked between the trees, shapeless in the clouded darkness. It paused, its head tilting upward as if feeling her gaze. Karen's breath hitched. She couldn't see the face clearly, but she felt its stare piercing through her. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily cried, pulling the blanket over herself. "Just stay quiet, Lily." "I'll be right back," Karen urged. She grabbed the baseball bat leaning against the wall, feeling its familiar weight return her sense of control, even if only momentarily. She opened the door slowly, peering out into the dim hallway. The house felt alive, the walls whispering secrets she couldn't understand. As she stepped into the dark, a soft mockery echoed down the corridor. "Karen," it taunted, that familiar chill creeping under her skin. The voice twisted her name, curling it like smoke. It was like the watchman's, that unnerving drawl that made her blood run cold. She froze. The house held its breath as reality warped and shifted. She could feel it in the air, the oppressive dread wrapping around her like sinister vines. "Come play with us," the voice whispered again, enticing yet sinister. Karen's instincts kicked in. Every fiber in her being screamed at her to run, to protect her daughter. But as she spun around, her heart dropped. The door to Lily's room slammed shut, trapping them both inside an unseen terror. "Mommy! Let me out!" Lily's voice quaked, pummeling against the thickening silence, yet Karen could feel something, not a shadow, but a presence weaving around them, pulling taut the strings of fear. "Stay back, Lily!" Karen shouted, stepping forward, the bat raised, her grip slick with sweat and sheer panic. The darkness pressed against her, suffocating. What in hell was happening? She couldn't lose Lily too. With a deep breath, she bolted toward the door, knowing she had to act before whatever was lurking inside of their home came for them both. In her mind, a new question began to form: was it even her daughter calling her anymore? The door rattled violently, as if something large was trying to break through, desperation clawing at her throat. With every ounce of strength, she swung the bat against the door, as fear pulsed in tandem with her heart. What lay behind was not merely the depths of her nightmare, it was something more. Something was coming, and it was hungry. The bat connected with the door, the sound reverberating like a thunderclap in the suffocating silence. Karen's heart raced as she struck again, panic lending her strength. Each impact sent splinters exploding around the handle. "Lily!" She gasped. I'm trying. Mommy. Please. The desperation in her daughter's voice tore at Karen, yet it was mingled with an unsettling echo that rang out like a cruel shadow, perverting the innocence of Lily's pleas. The door held firm, as if something beyond was pushing back, refusing to let them escape. It was no longer just wood and hinges, it felt like a barrier infused with a malevolence that grew heavier with each passing moment. With gritted teeth, Karen swung once more, her breath turning shallow. She felt exposed, like prey in a predator's den. The power drained from her limbs, each blow weaker than the last. Stay back, honey. Just keep quiet. She called, her voice faltering. She thought of her daughter, her little girl caught in the grasp of fear and darkness. How long before something slipped through that threshold? Suddenly, the whispers grew louder, a grotesque choir filling the space around her, taunting, mocking. Mommy. Mommy. Come play with us. They jested, each word dripping with malice, wrapping around her like spider silk, laced with venom. Enough. She screamed at the shadows, wielding the bat like a torch blazing in the darkness. An uproarious laughter, inhuman, ecstatic, erupted from the closet as the walls began to pulse, a heartbeat matching her own. Karen's grip tightened. This wasn't just a nightmare, it was a living entity, a monstrosity masquerading as her home. Lily. She yelled, stumbling back, the cacophony growing. The closet door creaked open wider, an invitation drenched in menace offered by the void within. And there it was, eyes glinting in the dim light like tiny stars in a swallowed sky. A dozen reflections glared back at her, widening like gaping mouths about to devour her sanity. The door to her daughter's room shook as if the frustration of unseen hands pounded against it. Deep down, a chilling realization clawed at her. Whatever's out there, it wants her. At that moment, she realized the bat wouldn't save them. What could some wood against a supernatural force do? Her heart thundered in her chest, thoughts racing to the myriad ways she might protect Lily. We have to go. We can't stay here. But as she turned toward her daughter, something shifted. The edge of Lily's gaze strayed. Karen's stomach knotted with dread. Lily was staring, eyes unfocused, lost in a trance. Lily, no. In that instant, the darkness seemed to pull at her little girl like a riptide. Karen lunged forward, the bat clattering from her grasp as terror surged. She wrapped her arms around Lily, but it was as if grasping smoke. You need to fight it, sweetheart. Please. A guttural growl erupted from the closet, rumbling like thunder. Join us, the voice hissed, dripping with hunger. She's one of us now, just like you. The grip on reality began to slip, and Karen felt the air grow perilously thin. The laughter roared louder, drowning out her thoughts, carving away her resolve. No. She's my daughter. Karen roared, desperation fueling her. She could feel the fraying ends of her sanity, collapsing under the weight of overwhelming terror. The closet door swung wide open, an abyss gaping. Suddenly, Lily's voice broke through, sharper than before. Mommy, help me. I can't. But before the plea could finish, the shadows surged, grabbing her like claws around the child. A shriek escaped Karen's lips, raw and primal. What if it was too late? What if she couldn't pull her daughter back? Then, something slammed against the wall behind them, as if the house itself was waking. With a darkness that seemed sentient, it whispered. You can't escape. Karen felt the shadows close in, an unstoppable rush. Just as fear threatened to overwhelm her, she dug deep and yelled, I want to let you take her. In a rush of instinct, she grabbed the nearest object, anything to swing wildly at the consuming black. But as she prepared to strike, the darkness rippled, shifting, morphing. The closet surged with a violent energy. She gritted her teeth, uncertain of what awaited her on the other side, as a figure began to emerge. A distortion of shape that mimicked her daughter, but twisted and wrong. And with that grotesque semblance stepping into the light, terror gripped Karen's heart anew. What if it was too late to save Lily? The shadows coiled tighter, tightening their malevolent grip. Would she sacrifice everything to rescue her? With every ounce of desperation, she lunged, ready to confront the unspeakable. What price would she pay to bring her child back from the brink? Karen charged at the grotesque figure, heart racing, but stopped short as it morphed into a reflection of Lily. The laugh echoed, sinister and tantalizing, a twisted mockery of her daughter's giggle. The shadows undulated, hungry, their whispers clawing at her sanity. "Join us, Mommy." Waves of icy dread washed over Karen. She shook her head, trying to clear it. This isn't my girl." Her voice trembled with the weight of desperation. Yet, the nightmare pressed harder, scratching at her resolve, testing her will. The figure flickered, caught between the semblance of Lily's sweet face and the undeniable malevolence lurking beneath. For a moment, she saw her daughter's wide, innocent eyes. Then, as if smeared by something dark, that innocence faded, replaced by hollow sockets gleaming with malice. "Mommy, help me," it urged, a parody of a child's plea. The air crackled with energy, pulses of dread vibrating through the walls. The sounds around her shifted, familiar yet foreign, an out-of-tune lullaby, her daughter's bedtime song twisted into a wailing lament. The walls felt alive, pressing in closer, the shadows eager for a taste of fear. "Stay away," she shouted, lunging for the bat that lay forgotten amidst the chaos, wrestling against the drilling whispers spiraling deeper into her mind. "She's not yours." As her fingers curled around the bat, a sudden break in the noise left the air thick with anticipation. An almost tangible shift hung in the darkness, eliciting a suffocating stillness. Then, with a crash, the mirror above the dresser shattered, shards flying, reflecting erratic fractals of the looming shadows. "Mommy." "No." Lily's voice burst forth, terrified yet unyielding, echoing from within the darkness, stronger than before. It felt like her real daughter was somehow still trapped, fighting against the encroaching void. Karen's heart thudded painfully in her chest. She swung the bat purposefully, determined to break the pattern, each blow echoing with regret and fury. Shadows flinched away from the splintered wood, momentarily retreating, but the reflection of Lily remained, persistent and perverse. "Stop fighting," it begged. "You can't win." "No. I can save you," Karen roared, her voice soaring above the clamor of the darkness. A rumble erupted, the closet heartbeat thrumming in sync with her own. The shadows twisted, writhing in a frenzy, as if angered by her defiance. The figure shook, and for a brief heartbeat, it flickered back to the real Lily, warm, frightened, and vulnerable. "Mommy?" Her voice cut through the din as the shadows recoiled momentarily, bearing the weight of Karen's hope. "Yes, baby. I'm here." Each word was a lifeline cast into the chaos. But before she could step forward, the darkness rallied, the laughter rising to a fever pitch, drowning out the last vestiges of her daughter's identity. The air throbbed with malign power, and time stretched like taffy, warping reason and logic. Two souls for one. "Join us." Karen stumbled back, once again feeling the hopelessness coil within her guts. The echoes of their threat snaked around her, overwhelming. The shadows shifted, claws extending as they reached for Lily. "No!" Karen screamed, striking the darkness with renewed fury. The bat connected with a heavy thud, and the howling shriek of rage filled the room, shaking her to her core. "Foolish human." The voice dripped with venom, vibrating in the air around her. Cracks spider-webbed out from the final blow, sending shards of darkness reeling. The twisted figure distorted, flickering wildly, and she could feel Lily start to slip away in that instant. Desperation clawed at her throat, her heart racing as she lunged again, plunging into the chaos. Would she keep fighting, even if it dragged her into the abyss alongside her daughter? Could she defy whatever supernatural horror lay within the shadows? In that critical moment, as every light within her dimmed, a whisper rang clear, your sacrifice is the key. Would she find the strength to confront the darkness? Or was she already too late? The shadows surged, threatening to swallow them whole. The last vestige of hope flickered like a candle in a storm. Karen's breath caught. What dark truth lay ahead? The shadows roared back to life, an electrifying darkness that engulfed the room. Karen felt the bat slip from her fingers, the wood clattering harmlessly to the floor. Panic surged through her as the cold tendrils of shadow brushed against her skin, paralyzing her. She couldn't breathe. Lily! She cried out, her voice hoarse and frantic, echoing in the engulfing murk. A cold laugh filled the air, slicing through her heart like a dagger. You think you can save her? She's part of us now forever. The mocking tone twisted through her, wrapping around her like a chokehold. Despair settled in the pit of her stomach, a heavy, suffocating weight. But was this true? Could the darkness really claim Lily? Karen's mind raced, recalling faint, flickering moments of happiness with her daughter. Sunny parks, laughter over breakfast, cozy bedtime stories. Those memories were light against the consuming dark. They had to mean something. Lily! Fight it! She shouted, desperation spilling from her lips. You're stronger than this. I know you are. The shadows hissed, swirling in a chaotic dance, squirming like nightmarish serpents. For an instant, she thought she saw a shadow of her daughter caught within the abyss. Mommy! It was a whisper, soft and distant. No! Don't let them take you. Karen's voice broke, barely rising above the sinister cacophony. With every ounce of strength she could muster, she pushed back against the darkness, forcing her way through the suffocating void. She felt like she was swimming against a current that threatened to swallow her whole. The laughter morphed, becoming sharper, more frenzied. You can't save her. You should join us. A multitude of voices echoed, mocking her sanity as they layered beneath and above, like haunted children beckoning from beyond the grave. She stumbled, driven by instinct, inching toward the flicker of light that still glimmered weakly. It was there. Just a bit further. The familiar sound of her daughter's heartbeat pulsed against the menacing thrum of chaos. Believe in me, honey. Please. Karen pleaded, tears spilling down her cheeks, blurring her sight. All around, the shadows writhed, boiling, trying to shield the light from her. Then, amid the chaos, a sudden stillness swept through the air. The relentless whispers ceased, replaced by a heavy silence that pressed against Karen's chest. In that heartbeat, she felt a surge of warmth. Might it be hope? Mommy, please. The call came clearer, stronger, fueled by love and desperation. In that moment, she felt the power of a mother's will crashing through the darkness. Without hesitation, Karen lunged toward the source of her hope, her heart pulsing in rhythm with Lily's voice. But as she reached out, the walls around her pulsed, a flesh of shadow molding to trap her newfound hope. You're too late. The darkness screeched, embraced by hungry hands that clawed and grasped, trying to drag her back into despair. With a final cry, Karen plunged forward. The shadows exploded around her, a vortex of chaos. She felt something give, the rush of air swarmed her, and in an instant, everything shattered. The room fell silent. The world softened, curls of darkness swirling away. What remained was a whisper of light, a memory, a fleeting glimpse of her daughter's face. But was she truly free? Then, just beneath the quiet, a faint laughter echoed from the corners of the room. It wasn't Lily's laughter. It was darker, twisted, promising chaos to come. Karen froze, dread creeping back into her mind. But before she could react, a voice whispered just behind her, "You can't escape, we'll always be waiting." She turned slowly, heart pounding, as the shadows grew restless once more, ready to reclaim what they coveted. What sacrifice would she have to make to truly save her daughter? Karen stood still, her breath shallow and rapid, as the voice echoed around her. The shadows morphed, twisting, writhing, uncovering grotesque shapes that loomed like vultures, circling their prey. "What do you want from me?" she yelled into the suffocating void, defiance mingling with desperation. The laughter rose again, more sinister than before, ricocheting off the walls, clawing at her sanity. "We want your light and your pain." Shadows curled menacingly, closing in, as if they could taste her fear. "Stay away from me," she shouted, raising her hands, but the shadows slipped through her fingers like smoke. Panic surged as they wrapped around her wrists, tightening their grip. Each pulse threatened to draw her into their dark embrace. In the dim light, fragments of her past flickered before her eyes: Lily's sweet laugh, her tiny hand in Karen's, moments of joy cast in flickering brilliance against the growing anxiety. The memories pushed through the terror, reminding her that there was still something worth fighting for. A desperate thought crystallized: the darkness thrived on despair. If she could hold on to hope, it might weaken them. "Lily!" she cried again, focusing on the flicker of warmth within the tempest of shadows. "Remember our stories? The ones about the brave heroes? You can fight. You can come back to me." For a heartbeat, the shadows hesitated. In that pause, Karen felt something shift. It was as if they momentarily wavered, retreating just enough to grant her an inch of space and breath. A thought sparked: Lily might still be there, fighting right alongside her, nestled in the heart of the darkness. "Fight, Lily. Fight together," she screamed, pouring her soul into her words. It was a prayer, a plea, a last chance. From within the swirl of darkness, she heard it again, a faint echo of her daughter's voice. "Mommy." This time it sounded stronger, more desperate, a thread of vulnerability woven through the chaos. The shadows roared, their laughter sharp and angry. "You can't hold on. She is ours." "No!" Karen screamed, grounding herself, her voice breaking the air like a shard of glass. "You do not own her." As she screamed, a blinding light erupted from her chest, expanding outward like an explosion of pure determination. The darkness around her howled, twisting like a wounded beast. It was as if her love for Lily had manifested into a tangible force, pushing against the cold grip of despair. But the shadows fought back, their talons of darkness clutching at the light, desperate to extinguish it. "Light cannot remain in darkness," they hissed, the voices overlapping like thunder. Yet, as Karen stood her ground, she felt the warmth emanating from her heart filter through the cracks in the darkness. Would it be enough? Would Lily's spirit resonate with the flickering light she summoned? Her heart raced with the unending weight of guilt and the unyielding hope coursing through her. With a final breath, she took a step forward into the swirling mass, arms outstretched. "Lily. I'm with you. Together, we can break free." The shadows hesitated, caught off guard. For a split second, Karen glimpsed her daughter, her face etched with fear, yet strikingly resolute. The light surged, rushing in waves as it expanded, lighting the crevices where shadows threatened to tighten their grip. Then, suddenly, a wrenching scream erupted from the shadows, drowning out the semblance of hope. "You cannot escape, we'll take what is yours." The darkness around Karen buckled violently, creating an unimaginable rift, almost as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. And in that chaos, one question spiraled in her mind: was she ready to face whatever truth awaited her? As the shadows coiled and recoiled, the darkness threatened to consume everything around her, including her last shred of hope. What lay beyond the verge of darkness? The world around Karen shattered into a whirlwind of chaos. The rift pulsated, radiating an otherworldly light that illuminated ragged edges of despair. A piercing cry echoed out, not just from the shadows, but from somewhere deep within her, an anguish so raw it was like glass cutting through her heart. "Please, not Lily," she gasped, adrenaline flooding her veins. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, but she couldn't abandon her daughter. As the darkness writhed and twisted, it seemed to morph into a tangible force, attacking her resolve with a ferocity that left her trembling. "Your love is a weakness," the shadows hissed, their voices intertwining into a demonic chorus. It will be your undoing. With every word, they tightened their grip, and Karen felt her strength waning. The light she had summoned flickered, dimming against the onslaught of despair. Panic gripped her throat like a vice. Was she really losing this battle? Would she allow the shadows to take her child? No. She screamed, clenching her fists. Our love is stronger than your darkness. She focused on the memories, on the laughter of the little girl who brought sunshine into her life. An ember ignited within her, and as if in response, the light surged anew, battling back against the tendrils of gloom. But something shifted within the shadows, a flicker of something familiar. Faces began to emerge from the depths, lost souls with hollow eyes, their faces twisted in torment. Karen's breath hitched. They were silhouettes of those who had succumbed to the darkness. Each one a reminder of the fate that awaited anyone who faltered. Join us, Karen. They pleaded, their voices drenched in despair. Embrace the eternal night. No. I will not. She pushed against the tide, her voice a sharp blade cutting through the confusion. I refuse to be like you. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if struck. They didn't seem to anticipate her fierce denial. In that moment of hesitation, she perceived it. A faint glow flickered within the darkness, a golden thread weaving through the despair. It was Lily. Mommy, I'm scared. Her daughter's voice wafted through the chaos, fragile yet determined. Hold on to the light, I'm trying. Tears streamed down Karen's face, mixing with the raging storm around her. She stretched her hands further into the swirling dark. Please, Lily. We need each other. Fight with me. The shadows wailed, angry curses filling the air, thrashing out with gale-force winds. But Karen felt her resolve solidify, merging with the pulse of the light at her core. I won't let you take her. In a desperate act, she braced herself and plunged into the heart of the shadowy tempest, where the veils of darkness and light intertwined. A blinding explosion enveloped her as her energy clashed with the malevolent force around her. Time suspended, the world trembled as if waiting for release. Suddenly, she felt the familiar warmth of Lily's presence infuse her being. Together, Mommy. The voice echoed, ringing clearly through the noise, a beacon of hope igniting in Karen's heart. We are light and dark. Karen cried defiantly, intertwining her spirit with her daughter's. For the first time, she felt a shimmering power growing within them, raw and unbound. The darkness recoiled, shrieking in agony. It shrank back, twisting like a wounded creature, but it didn't shatter completely. Your bond will lead to your ruin. They shrieked, and the shadows began to ripple once more, dancing dangerously close. Or will it be your end? Karen countered, determination surging as the energy coiled tightly around her, wrapping her in a protective embrace. But in that charged moment, out of the depths came a vision, an image that sent a chill through her heart, shadows, creeping behind Lily, ready to snatch her away. Lily, no. Karen's scream echoed, sharp and terrified. Was it possible to defeat the darkness and save her child? What price would she have to pay? The energy crackled between them, a thin line of hope wrapped in dread. Karen felt it. The darkness lunged, snaring at Lily, searching for any crack to exploit. Shadows slithered like serpents, wrapping around her daughter, toying with her innocence. Lily. The word tore from her throat, a raw bellow mingled with cosmic fear. Karen thrust herself forward, her body responding faster than her mind. She couldn't let this nightmare claim her child too. The rift around them pulsated violently, writhing like a living creature. Distant screams echoed within the cacophony, voices intertwined in a symphony of despair. Each note was a reminder of lives lost, souls forgotten. The air felt thick, heavy with the scent of mildew and regret, making it hard to breathe. Mommy, help! Lily's cry sliced through the shadows, but the shadows weren't merely trying to break them apart. They were attempting to drown her in their malevolence. No! Karen shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. She stretched out her arms, willing the light that flickered within her to ignite and engulf them both. The shadows recoiled at her fearlessness, but they were relentless. The pulse of darkness was becoming a beast, furious and hungry. Karen felt a tugging sensation, not just from Lily, but from the shadows as well, each pulling her in different directions. "You're stronger together," Lily shouted, desperation lacing her voice. With every ounce of will, Karen turned her heart towards Lily. In that moment, she felt the familiar warmth of their bond, innocent giggles shared over bedtime stories, the quiet moments of love spoken without words. It surged through her, powering her resolve. She wasn't just fighting for her daughter, she was fighting for every child that had ever been swallowed whole by darkness. "Together, now!" Karen roared, clenching her fists tightly. As if in response, the glow of their combined hearts blazed brightly, pushing back against the claws reaching for Lily. The shadows screamed in anger, a cacophony of tormented souls rising in agony. "You cannot resist us. You are merely a flicker in the night. I am more than that." Karen screamed back, feeling the surge of energy grow around them, transforming into a blinding shield of light, but just when hope felt tethered to reality, doubts crawled up Karen's spine. She could sense the shadows transforming, rebuilding themselves in their frustration. They began to summon the memories of those they had consumed, images of the lost, twisted faces of sorrow that tore at her heart, dragging her into their gloom. She felt their anger, their despair, their cries pushing against the borders of her mind. Mommy, Lily's voice trembled, and Karen turned to her, panic racing through her veins. The shadows swirled nearby, growling with a sinister hunger. They were preparing their final strike. Karen gritted her teeth, forcing a smile. "It's okay. We've got this, honey. Just hold my hand." But the shadow's grip was tightening. Lily's eyes widened, understanding dawning. "No. Don't let them in." Just then, the atmosphere shifted. A bone-chilling cold rushed in, presenting a choice. The rift before her shifted, morphing into a gateway she had never seen before, dark and enticing. "Join us, you will have the power you crave. Protect her, or lose it all." The temptation lurked. Could she risk it all to save Lily? Was surrendering to the darkness an option if it drew them back together? The answer lay in her trembling hands, but as Karen battled with hope and despair, something inside her realized she might have to face the terror of that choice alone. What would she sacrifice to save her child? Would she plunge into the very abyss she fought? The whispers grew louder, the shadows beckoned. The shadows twisted, forming a long, dark finger that beckoned like a master to a starved servant. Karen's heart raced, pounding relentlessly against her chest. She could feel the cold tendrils wrapping tighter around her, their whispers slithering through her mind, coaxing her to succumb. "Join us, fill the void, you have nothing but despair, mommy." Lily's voice jolted through her hazed mind, a lifeline in the chaos. But what if she couldn't hold on? The darkness was offering a promise, a way to protect her, a way to fight back with forces far beyond her comprehension. It was tempting, intoxicating even. "Stay with me, Lily," Karen urged, clutching her daughter's tiny hand as if it were the last remnant of light in an all-consuming night. But the shadows were relentless, pulling at her very soul, gnawing at her resolve, probing for weaknesses. In that moment of turmoil, fleeting memories flashed before her eyes, endless laughter, bedtime stories, scraped knees kissed better. Each sweet recollection became a knife to her heart, a reminder of all that she had to lose. Yet, within her, the flame of motherhood burned fiercely, refusing to be extinguished by whispers of despair. "Together!" Karen yelled defiantly, the word bursting forth from her chest, reverberating with a power she didn't know she had. The shadows hissed at her strength, recoiling slightly as if stung. She could feel a shift, a fracture in the terrifying landscape, but the darkness surged back, more feral than before. "Defiance will only bring suffering, human." A voice boomed from the depths of the shadows, the sound scraping against Karen's bones like nails on a chalkboard. You cannot win, you will lose her. Karen hesitated, doubt creeping in. What if she truly was powerless? What if fighting simply brought more pain? But as she looked down at Lily, whose eyes shimmered with tears and a flicker of defiance, she knew what she had to do. No! Karen shouted, channeling her desperation into blistering rage. I won't abandon you. We're stronger than this. An explosive wave of light burst forth, illuminating the shadows that surged around them, scattering them like spilled ink. The air hummed with energy, thick and electric. Leave us! She cried. You have no hold here. But even as the light pushed against the darkness, she felt the ground beneath her tremble. The rift writhed with anger, radiating fury with every pulse. You cannot escape your fate. The dark does not forget. The air thickened, coiling tighter around her, weighty and cold. Karen felt herself beginning to sink into the ground, into the creeping darkness that writhed just below the surface. Lily screamed, and Karen's heart sank with dread. A new voice emerged from the shadows, soft but dripping with malice. Would you truly sacrifice everything to save a single life? For what is she but a flicker, a moment in time? In that heartbeat, a silence fell, heavy and oppressive. Karen found herself contemplating the words her mind whirled, battling the echoes of betrayal, the frightful allure of dark power. Mommy? Lily's voice trembled, small and laced with fear, pulling Karen's heart back into focus. The shadows wrapped tighter around her ankles, their icy grip suffocating, and dread pooled in her stomach. What would she do? To save her daughter or maintain her essence? The rift loomed before her, a gateway to power, a way to either reclaim or destroy everything she held dear. Could she choose what was right, or would she fall prey to the darkness' tempting embrace? And then, as the world blurred, and shadows pressed in like a vice, a scream erupted from deep within. Was it her own, or the voices of the lost? The answer could change everything, but time was slipping, along with her sanity. As the silence tension shattered, the rift flickered, pulsing and beckoning with a sinister glow. What would happen if she stepped forward into that open mouth of darkness? Could she reach Lily before it was too late? The whispering shadows had never been closer. Don't! Karen yelled, strength spilling out from the depth of her desperation as she forced her way toward the shadows gathering around her daughter. The air crackled as hope and fear clashed, echoes of her love battling against the malevolence. Every fiber of her being told her that Lily was still there somewhere deep behind the darkness, fighting against the tide. Mommy! The whisper was fragile and broken, a shard of light in the suffocating dark. Karen felt the shadows writhe in anger, as if the very essence of her daughter's spirit was dislodging the grip they had on her. Time stretched and shattered. The shadows pulsed, surging like a storm, demanding compliance. Join us! They hissed, but Karen stood firm. She was terrified, yes, but love coursed through her veins like fire, granting her strength. I won't let you take her. She shouted, flicking through memories filled with laughter and learning, sweet moments shared in the sun. With each recollection, the light inside her flared brighter. You're wrong. Love conquers all. As the shadows twisted and snarled, Karen concentrated again on Lily, her little girl caught in the fray. You can do this, baby. Fight. I'm right here. Mommy, I'm scared. The words came from somewhere between anguish and determination, breaking through the chaotic swirl of darkness. They were a plea as much as a rally. A flicker of power surged from within Karen, flooding the space with warmth that felt both foreign and familiar. Quelling her uncertainty, she reached for her daughter. Together. We can do this. The shadows screamed, chorus after chorus of lost souls crying out, resonating with despair that threatened to steal Karen's hope. Still, she pressed forward, willing the light to break through. Enough! She bellowed, and the shadows shrank back, a feral fear coursing through them as her radiant strength pushed into the darkness like a bulldozer. Lily, I believe in you. With a surge, the darkness coiled tighter around both of them. You think your love will save you? It snarled, angry and relentless. You are nothing. But the shadows faltered. Karen felt it. The shadows recoiled for just a moment, exposing a path illuminated by their light, showing her exactly where to go. This was a fracture in their cruel grasp, a break in their will. Mommy, I can see you. Lily cried, now halfway lost in the ethereal shroud. Karen took a step forward, heart racing, emotions roiling in tandem with the flowing energy that connected them. Keep fighting, darling. We're right here. With one last push, she surged through, arms outstretched, she dove into the shadows. Suddenly, she was there beyond the threshold, surrounded by undulating darkness and shimmering light. Lily appeared before her, a specter of sorrow and waiting hope. Their eyes locked. Karen's heart leaped, clean and clear. Mommy! Help me! Lily's cry was still a plea, but it rang with newfound strength. No more. Karen affirmed, breathing deeply. We can fight this. The shadows seemed to writhe with frustration, clawing at the space surrounding them, but a light pulsed between them, a tether binding them in strength, trust, and unyielding love. I'll always protect you. Karen cried out, surging forward. Together, they pulled towards one another, and the light exploded, engulfing the room in warmth and brilliance. As her heart connected with Lily's, memories of warmth and laughter poured forth, forming a wall strong enough to repel the darkness trying to invade. That's it. Take my love. She yelled, pushing all of her fervor into their bond while shadows screamed in defiance. You cannot take what belongs to love. The shadows shrieked, twisted and collapsed, enveloped by the fierce explosion of light, scattering like flies against the warmth radiating from their connection. As Karen reached for Lily once more, she snatched her into her arms, holding her tightly. The shadows shrank away, their grip broken, their power dissipating under the strength of a mother's love. Mommy! Lily's voice rang out, joyous and full, echoing in the now dissipating chaos. With one final burst, the darkness unraveled completely, revealing the room in all its familiar, sunlit glory. Silence fell, the echoes of the past gently fading. Breathless, Karen cradled Lily close. We did it, she whispered, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. The threat was gone, the darkness had retreated, leaving behind only traces, a pale reminder of what could have been. The bond they shared blossomed stronger than ever. It was a victory forged in trials, love, and unwavering hope. And the town, though it bore scars from the horrors, embraced the light anew. As they left the house, hand in hand, dawn kissed the horizon, the warm sun rising over the sleepy neighborhood where fear had once gripped them. Together, they stepped forward into the light, forever grateful for light and love that had guided them home, but as they walked away, a whisper stirred on the wind, soft, chilling, echoing, "We're still here waiting." It promised a lingering tension that wouldn't fade completely, reminding them that courage, vigilance, and love, while powerful, were needed to keep the darkness at bay. If you've enjoyed this gripping conclusion, don't just walk away. You need to subscribe now to keep up with more exclusive stories just like this one. Smash that like button now to tell the algorithm we want more intensity like this. Comment down below with your thoughts and theories about what could happen next. Share your reactions with the whole community. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this chilling story. Only true fans know how important it is to support the channel through these actions.